Hello students, I am your Abhijit sir, and today we will read about rotation and revolution. Okay, so students, sometimes when we watch some live telecasts, we notice that the place is being shown is in daylight, whereas we have night in India. Okay, so it makes you confused, right? But why is it so? Why does it happen? And we will understand this in this chapter called rotation and revolution. Okay? Long ago, students, it was believed by the people that the earth was flat. Okay? So people did not know that the earth is round, but they believed that the earth was flat. But gradually people got to know that no, it is not flat but is round in shape. And they also came to know that it does not stay in a particular place. Okay, so it does not, however, stay in one place. That means the earth moves. Okay, now students, if we look at this picture, we can see that there is an imaginary line, right? Can you see it? Let me zoom in little bit. See here. Okay, so there is an imaginary line, and around this line the earth spins. Okay, so this line, this imaginary line, is called the axis, and it connects the, you can see, the north pole and south pole. Understood? So the imaginary line you can see here is called axis. So it spins on its own axis. So the earth spins on its axis, and at the same time it moves around the sun. Okay, so the movement of the earth around the sun, just a second. Okay, so the movement of the earth around the sun, you can see here, is called revolution. So the movement of the earth around the sun is called revolution, and the movement of the earth on its axis is called rotation. Okay, so students, I have noticed that most of the students get confused between these two definitions. Okay, so you have to keep this in mind, that the movement on its axis is called rotation and around the sun is called revolution. Okay, now students, we will see that when the earth moves on its axis, as it rotates, the parts of the earth facing the sun experience light. So basically what happens when the earth moves or rotates on its axis, okay, one part of the earth faces towards the sun, and that's why it experiences light. Whereas the opposite side, what will happen? If one side faces the sun, the opposite side will not be able to face the sun, then it will remain in darkness. Okay, so it will experience night. Okay, so the part which experiences light is called day and will have day, and the part which will experience darkness will have night at the same time. So now I think it is clear that why do we sometimes see that the some parts of the earth is having day whereas the other parts is having night. Okay, now students, one important thing that you need to know is that one complete rotation of the earth takes 24 hours. So we have already read that the earth rotates on its axis. So it takes 24 hours to complete its rotation, okay, which is equal to 1 day. So in 1 day we have 24 hours. Okay, I think it is very much clear to you. Now, as I told you, the movement of the earth around the sun is called revolution, whereas the movement of the earth on its axis is called rotation. So the path that the earth follows to move around the sun is called orbit. So there is a fixed path, okay, which the earth follows to revolve around the sun is called orbit, and it is elliptic in shape. Okay, fill in the blanks or short questions may come from this sentence, so you have to keep this in mind that the orbit is elliptic in shape. Now you also need to know that the average speed of the earth's revolution is about 30 kilometers per second. Can you imagine it? Very fast, right? So 30 kilometers per second. Okay, so even at this speed it takes a little over 365 days to complete one revolution. So one revolution is equal to 1 year. You should keep this in mind. So it takes more than 365 days. Okay, so it actually takes 365 days 6 hours to revolve around the sun. But students, to make it easy for us to measure the time, okay, we consider 1 year as 365 days. Okay, that means 6 days or 6 hours is left. So this 6 hours from each year is added up to 24 hours, and 1 day is equal to, we have already read, right? 1 day equal to 24 hours. That means in every 4 years the 6 hours adds up to 1 day. So thus this extra day is added in the month of February, okay, and that is known as leap year. So if 1 day is added to 365 days, then it will have 366 days. Okay, that is why we say that in a leap year there are 366 days instead of 365 days, and in the month of February there are 29 days instead of 28. Okay, now students, we will learn that what causes the changes of seasons. Okay, so if we look at a globe, you will see that the axis of the earth is not vertical. Okay, so it is little bit tilted like this. So students, this angle of the axis has a important role, okay, in the changes of seasons. Now, except this axis, if you look here, you can see a line, right? So this line, you can see, divides the earth into two equal halves. Okay, that is why this line is called equator. So the imaginary horizontal line that circles the globe in the middle and divides it into two equal halves is called equator. And the part of the earth to the north of the equator is called northern hemisphere and south is called southern hemisphere. So the part in the northern, the part is in the above of equator is called northern hemisphere, this part, okay, and this is called southern hemisphere, and this part is north pole and this part is south pole. And one interesting thing is that our India belongs to northern hemisphere. Very important sentence, okay. So India belongs to which hemisphere? Northern hemisphere. So students, if you look here, you can see, you already know that the orbit is elliptical, okay, and the axis is not vertical, it has an angle, little bit tilted. So the position that continuously changes, this change in the position of the earth causes the changes of seasons, and which are basically the main seasons are summer, autumn, winter and spring, okay. So now I will move directly towards the polar night and the midnight sun, okay. This paragraph you have to read carefully, and this I will explain later in an elaborate way. So today I will read and teach you about polar night and the midnight sun. So students, if you look at this picture, the answer is here only in this picture. You can see that during summer, the North Pole, can you see here? In North Pole, the sun never sets. Whereas, if you look at the Southern Pole or South Pole, it never experiences the sunlight. Then what will happen? You will have day here for a long period and you will have night for a long period, right? At this, on its opposite, if you come here in the winter season, what happens? The southern pole, in southern pole the sun never sets, and in northern pole the sun never rises. So now we will move here. In summer, in northern hemisphere the sun never sets, while the in south pole it does not get any sunlight. Similarly, during winter, northern hemisphere the sun does not rise at the north pole, and the continuous night in the polar regions during winter is known as polar night. So the continuous night in this region is called polar night, whereas on its opposite, the sun never sets in the polar regions during summer. In this, you can see polar regions, the sun never sets, and that is why if you look at the clock, or when the clock strikes midnight, then also we can see sun. That is why this is known as midnight sun. So the people who live in or near polar region experience this natural wonder during summer. So I hope I have been able to make it clear to you. So this is it for today. Thank you so much and bye bye.